Good afternoon, everyone. It's Linda here from Banjo's Bead House with our weekly Facebook Live video. I am so sorry we didn't make it on last week. My head cold returned thanks to spending time with sick munchkins. It's not completely gone, but it is a lot better, thankfully. So we've had a busy week of packing everybody's Advent orders. We are down to just, I think, about 7 or 8 things left to pack for the colour box, and then it's on to assembly of all of the boxes so that we can actually get them in the mail to you guys next week, which is really exciting. But for today, I am going to play with one of the bead of the months, which I think was September's was the Nib Beads. I forgot to write it down, so apologies for that. This is one of my favorite beads in terms of shape to play with. If you've ever been to the States in Halloween time, you know the shape of candy corn. Nib beads kind of remind me of the candy corn kind of shape. They are fun to do in dimensional projects, and I thought we'd have some fun today with one of the fun earring projects that is actually up on the website. You're not going to see me make it into an earring. I'm just going to do it as a beaded bead because I think it'd actually be quite fun as a focal in a necklace, and it's kind of where I want to take this particular piece. So let's tip you guys down and we will have some fun. So I have the Nib beads here if you haven't seen them before. As I said, they are the kind of candy corn shape and they are a 2-hole bead. And today I'm playing with the Aztec Gold, and I've got some matching fire polish in Aztec Gold, and then everything else is black. So I've got a core bead that's a size 6 acrylic, and I have some 11s and some 15s just off to the side here in Miyuki. And that is it, other than some fire line and a needle. That is all you need to make this fun little beaded bead. So we are going to get started, and it's just a matter of picking up 4 of these guys. Okay, so we've got all 4 on, and making sure you guys can, I'm staying on my camera screen, trying to remember to check up to see that. And hopefully you guys can hear me now. I know there was a volume adjustment issue with the microphone. I'm hoping I have fixed that. So I have threaded through everything twice, and I'm just going to do a simple, I think we call it the half hitch knot, surgeon's knot. So just a simple little double knot, and then basically pass my needle back through so that we're trying to almost drag that knot into that hole. So you'll be left with this little cross shape. From there we are going to pick up an 11, and this is where, you know, you could pick up, if you wanted this to all be gold, you could have used the Miyuki Champagne with this particular color combination, but I wanted to just do a 2-color piece. You could play around, you know, changing the colors of your 15s, different color fire polish, and really make this kind of your own little design as well. So we are through, and we are going to exit through that 11. No, we actually just need to exit through a nib, sorry about that. So we're going to exit through the nib, and then we're going to transition and change directions. I'm going to flip my work over while we do that because I find it easier to stitch in one circular direction. From there we are picking up 11s again. And this is where, you know, you could have fun transitioning, you know, light to dark colors, pick up different shades of seed beads. You could play around with, you know, shiny through mattes, through silver lines and transparent, so it could be on the same shade, but as you're working, you know, down to the core, you could be mixing it up there too. So lots of fun ways you could play around with this one. Okay, this time I do need to exit through an 11, and as you can see me pulling that together, you're starting to form a little dome, which is the top of our earring, or in my case my beaded bead, and you just get that nice little shape created with the nibs, and it works up nice and quickly. Sorry, just dropping my needle here. From here we are going to pick up 7 of the 15 beads. So sorry if they are slightly off camera. 6 and 7, and we're going to pass, oops, trying to get that tail out of the way, across to that 11, and keeping that tail out of the way. If I had my zapper here, I would have zapped it off already, but he's at home. 3, whoops, 4, 5, 6 and 7, double checking that, and through the next 11. Oops, just making sure to keep those guys up close to the top of the nib, and we need to repeat 2 more times. Just bear with me while I count out tiny 15s. Sorry, I don't often film with black on camera because I find it a little bit harder to count. But I made up a sample with this at home last night with silver, and then realized silver doesn't film so well, so we switched over to black this morning. So it's all part of the fun. So it's 4, 5, 6 and 7, and we're just passing through that initial 11 again, and from there we're going to pass the needle through these till we get through 4, because we want to be working on that center point. Okay, so you can see there we've got our nice little nesting. Okay, so, oops, as I pull it out of my hand yet again. Now we are going to pick up, oops, an 11, one of the fire polish, which I am, as I said, using in the Aztec gold, and we're going to pass through that middle 15. So that's the reason why there is 7, is because we can draw and play around with these beads sitting in the middle. There, and we just need to do that twice more and start bringing that actually all down, because we want this to sit nicely like that. As you can see, we're starting to form our patterning. Okay, pick up 1, 5 polish and an 11. And into that 4th 15, and we've got 1 more to go. And again into that 4th 15. And I'm just going to grab those guys and pull that so they're sitting around the nib, so you can start to see we've got a nice little bit of netting and the group, so that's either the top or the bottom, and then we've got our middle row here of our 15s, and now we need to do some more embellishment around those. So this time it's working with 3 15s, an 11 and 3 15s, and from there we are passing through to that middle 15 again. And this one's going to sit on top, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 11, 1, 2 and 3, and we are picking back up into that 15. So you can see where if you had color contrasting beads, it would make it easier to see these guys, you know, and add some variety to this piece as well. So it's fun when you can pick up pieces that are customizable and have a little bit of fun with it. Okay, and we're going into that 15. Whoops. And I'm just going to flip over the pattern so I know exactly where I'm up to. It's got to go up. So I've got one more run to make. Oops. Sorry, keep pulling this away. Oops, picked up 4 that time, and you need 3. And we're going through that center 15, if I can actually see it. Boo-boo here somewhere, but we're going to keep going, and we'll pull that as our center 15. Not sure, hopefully we're right. And at this point we drop in our little 6mm bead, which is actually going to help hold the shape of all of this, and I'm just going to pull that last row of stitching down under, or at least closer to the 5 polish, because we'll be anchoring the next round of beads off that. And I'm wondering if I have missed a round. No, I've got one there, and we've got that one there. Looks like we've got all 4. Yep. Okay, so from, yeah, it's that tail thread. That's what's caused that. Okay. So that's our last one added in. Yep, okay. Sorry, getting myself into a hot mess working this afternoon. Okay. I'm just going to get that over the top. Pull that guys up, because the next round of stitching is going to be involved that way. So you kind of want it to be looking like that at this point. And then the next thing we're doing is picking up our nibs again. I think, no, I've actually got to get to the 11 in the middle. So we're just going to weave up. So now we're on our 11s. We're picking up at the wider point of our nib, and it's kind of now going in reverse. It's this pattern you get to work forwards and backwards. So we've got our nib now sitting between 2 11s, widest point again, and picking up that 11, widest point again, and picking up our 11, I'm trying to keep that pesky tail thread out of my way, and the last nib going back through that 11, Okay, so we've now got our 4 nibs, and as we pull them up, oops, you'll see they mirror that little shape and detail we've got there. Oops. So we've stitched in our bottom 4. I'm coming out of an 11, so I'm just going to thread through to that one, and then we're transitioning up, and the first part of this is we actually, just as we did before, we're going to stitch all the way around, and then we'll do our 11 in between so it sits out on top of that thread path. So we've got our 11, so it's all 4. I'm just going to stitch through. So we've got our 11s coming up to our point. Looks like I need to have tightened a thread there somewhere. Anyway, I will persevere. I will show you the sample I made last night. Okay, so we're coming out of our 11 there. You might wonder why I'm rushing through. Mum needs to leave early and I've still got to do all of the mail, and with mail needing to be at the post office at 4 and we close at 3:30, I want to make sure I've got enough time to get everybody's web orders out. So I'm just trying to get this done for you guys. Okay, it looks like the 11s aren't sitting up there the way they did last time, so I possibly haven't pulled that as tight on that bottom row. I'm suspecting that's what my fatal flaw is here, and not that I've missed a row, it's just, yeah, I haven't pulled tight enough. I'm going to see, I need to transition back because we do another row round here. I'm just going to run my needle through all of the bottoms and the 11, and we'll see if that tightens it up. And just pick up that last one. So now as we pull that, yeah, that's looking a lot better. So we've got our tightened up nib beads top and bottom, and our fire polish and all of our lace work sitting in the middle. From here we are going to transition back down into the seed beads, trying to get all of those 15s, and we are just going to pick up into that, I believe it's the central 11. Sorry, I've lost track as to where I am on my picture here. We are going to go all the way through those guys. Oops, and that corresponding much easier to see when this is not all black. Okay, picking up through the 11. Okay, right, coming out of that 11 and then picking up an 11 and threading back through that 11. So we're just playing around with that initial grouping, and this is where the pattern says you could add, you know, 15s on either side of that. Again, this is where having different color seed beads would definitely give this a fun look, and I think I've missed tightening something up somewhere in here because this is a lot looser than the one I made last night. just going through all of the fire polish. And just adding a nice little fun decorative detail. And just the extra 11s. Yeah, trying to see these guys is not so easy. Oops. And we're coming around, having done all 4 sides. So you can see here we just created some fun little picots. That one's not quite sitting right. Yeah, not my finest work playing around in the late afternoon, but you can get the idea. That one's definitely sticking out too far. So I apologize guys, not my best effort, and I'm just trying to find the one I made last night, which I didn't pull out. I was playing around last night with some of the nib mix that I had left over, and I was playing around with a 2-color contrast. You can see this is a much tighter finish when I've actually sat down and been concentrating, I guess, more. So you can see the little picot. This was the last edge detail. Yeah, my center core is not as tight, so I've missed a thread path in there somewhere. There is step-by-step photos on the instructions, which I will post up. This one I had a little fun playing between matte and shiny, but I know from filming in the past the silver beads don't show up so well on screen, but they were definitely a lot easier to see than the black. It's a lesson learned, not doing black on camera again either for a while. But yeah, it's a fun little bead. If you were going to turn into an earring, you just need to get your ear hook through, find that center hole of that bead that we put in the middle, and yeah, there is your little, whoops, taking off camera. That's kind of how you'd set it up as an earring. They've suggested a little bead on top and bottom. I think it could be kind of fun to string as a little focal in a necklace as well. So I could see a whole little series of these being done and strung up. So a little bit of fun, a little bit of different, and just playing around with some 2-hole nib beads. So despite my boo-boos and now my really bad hair, I hope that has inspired you guys to have a little bit of fun playing around with some nib beads. If you've got some in your stash, we do have a couple of nib bead boxes left if you want to pick one up and have some fun playing around with this little versatile bead. But that is it for me for this week. I'll be back next week with another Facebook Live, and I'll see you guys then. Have a safe, fun, creative, playful weekend. Bye for now. I have no